Hare. I don't think I know your name.
Hare Krishna. Van.
Van?
Van.
Van.
We met once.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yes.
Here? It must have been here.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Originally,
Lately.
Vrindavan.
Oh, wow, okay.
I just moved back to the neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
Very fortunate. I walked here this morning. So
You're that close.
yeah.
Oh, good. Welcome home. All right, is everybody ready? Jaya Radha. Oh, this is an on, huh? There we go. Hari. Uh-oh, some sacred holy socks.
Sacred holy socks.
Must be Kirtanesh.
Yep.
Okay.
I recognize.
Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharyashto Tarashata Sri Srimad is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantarad Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Sri Guru. I'm surrendering to eyeglasses now. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, son of Vasudeva, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Shanardhena pitulaye taptulaye. Kshanardhena pitulaye. Nasvagangna punar bhavam. Nasvargangna punar bhavam. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya. Martyanam Kimuta Shishaha. Martyanam Kimuta Shishaha. Kshanardhena pitulaye. Nasvargangna punar bhavam. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya. Martyanam Kimuta Shishaha. Follow.
Shadarena Petulaye Nasvargam Napunar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Utashisha
Shanardena pitulaye.
Shanardena Pitulaye
Nasvargam punar bhavam.
Nasvargam Napunar Bhavam
Bhagavat
Sangi Sangasya
Martyanam kim utashishaha.
Martyanam Kim Utashisha Shanardena Pitulaye Nasvargam Napunar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kim Utashisha
Shanardhena pitulaye.
Shanardhena Pitulaye
Nasvargam punar bhavam.
Nasvargam Napunar Bhavam
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya
Martyanam Kimutashisha.
Martyanam Kim Utashisha.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word. Kshana ardhena. By half a moment. Api. Even. Julaye. Compare. Na. Never. Svargam. Heavenly planets. Na. Neither. Apuna bhavam. Merging into the Supreme. Bhagavat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sangi. Associate. Sangasya. One who takes advantage of associating. Martyanam. Of the conditioned soul. Kim uta. What is there? Ashishaha. Blessings. So this is Lord Shiva continuing to instruct the prachetas. And there they are, right there, Lord Shiva. There's the prachetas with their palms pressed. One of my favorite paintings. Yeah, that's Lord Shiva, and he's meditating on Krishna. Translation. If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Please repeat. If one by chance associates with a devotee,
If one by chance associates with devotees,
even for a fraction of a moment,
Even for a fraction of a moment,
he no longer is subject
he no longer is subject
to attraction by the results
to attraction by the results
of karma or jnana.
of karma or jnana.
What interest then can he have
What interest can he have
in the benedictions of the demigods,
in the benedictions of the demigods,
who are subject to the laws of birth and death?
who are subject to the laws of birth and death?
If this verse sounds familiar, you're going to find out why. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Out of three kinds of men, this is the purport. We could do the whole thing if you want. Purport. Purport. Out of three kinds of men, the karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas, the bhakta is described herein as the most exalted. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung Kaivalyam Narakayate Tridashapura Kasha Pushpayate. This is from this Chaitanya Chandra Ramrita. The word Kaivalya means to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the word Tridashapur refers to the heavenly planets where the demigods live. Thus, for a devotee, Kaivalya Sukh, or merging into the existence of the Lord, is hellish, because the bhakta considers it suicidal to lose his individuality and merge into the effulgence of Brahman. A bhakta always wants to retain individuality in order to render service to the Lord. Indeed, he considers promotion to the upper planetary system to be no better than a will of the wisp. What's that? Will of the wisp.
phantasmagoria.
Yeah, it's just actually, look it up in the dictionary. You got your dictionary on your phone. You got it? All right. Taralakshi lightning fact checker.
Metaphorically refers to a hope of goal possible to reach. Someone who finds something one finds strange or sees.
Okay, so it's got a couple of meanings, but yeah, and the first one is the one. Yeah, it's like a mirage. You're chasing it, but it's not. Doesn't really. Like here in Arizona, are there deer in Arizona? There's javelinas. Yeah, so if the deer sees the shimmering appearance of water on the desert horizon, if he just chases it, he'll just die. That's what we're doing. We're chasing the mirage of happiness in the material world. Okay, temporary material happiness holds no value for a devotee. The devotee is in such an exalted position that he is not interested in the actions of karma or jnana. The resultant actions of karma and jnana are so insignificant to a devotee situated on the transcendental platform that he is not in the least interested in them. This is Prabhupada, is a pure devotee's writing. So we may be haunted by karma and jnana, but Prabhupada is just like, what's the use? Bhakti yoga is sufficient to give the bhakta all happiness. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 126, Yatma suprasidati. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service. Who knows that verse? Sabai. What does it mean?
The supreme government for all humanity at large is that by which they continue loving service to the supreme transcendent Lord of hosts today. Such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfied self.
That's the last two words, to completely satisfied. If we're mixing stuff in there, then it's not gonna, it's like sand in the sweet rice. That's probably begged us at my initiation. God put sand in the sweet rice. Krishna consciousness is like sweet rice, but a little sand. Can you imagine you get sweet rice at Govinda's and all of a sudden you bite down and you get a little desert in there. Oh, it's just a little flavoring, man.
I've had that before.
Yeah, here?
Not here, but they go on the beach.
Okay. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service, and that is a result of association with a devotee. That's the whole point. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can anyone understand the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, first of all, I'd just like to say this is when I was so happy to see that you folks were on this chapter when I came back, because it's like meeting an old friend for me. Because 1977, I was indexing the Bhagavatams, and 77, so Prabhupada's translation was slowing down as the year wound, because he was getting more and more incapacitated externally by disease. And so at the BBT, we took, because it was slowing down, we took the opportunity to reprint some Bhagavatams, and the fourth canto did not have indexes, and Prabhupada was not happy when they did the first printing. So we were reprinting them with indexes. So to fire me up, the general manager of the BBT, Radha Vallabha Prabhu, he showed me a letter that when Prabhupada got those first edition for fourth canto, he was not happy. He said, "Where are the indexes?" Because we had indexes in the first and the second canto, but then Prabhupada said, "No, these books are not very prestigious without indexes." In other words, scholars want to be able to look things up. The index is like our memory. So if you just close the book, it's gone. You've got to have an index to access it. So I said, okay, vital member of this production line. So the production line was Jayadwata Brahmachari, editor, Devamrita Brahmachari, proofreader, Suresvara Brahmachari, indexer. So LA was always very intense place to try to do our work, not only because we were on the corner of Venice and Watsika, which is like, it's still the same, it's a hustle bustle place. But just the whole atmosphere was just full of, it was very polluted in the 70s too. I was always sick there before they brought in catalytic converters. They started it in California. So it was the atmosphere. You look at the horizon, it was brown, it was terrible. So to go to what we do, we take turns, me and Jayadwata, and then we take our turn, we take our work, our BBT work, down to Laguna Beach for a break. There, you wouldn't hear the cars on Venice, and you just hear the lapping of the waves, it was very soothing. And then above, there was a garage next to the temple, and above the garage, there was a little, like an apartment and it was vacant, and that's where we would go to do our work. So I hadn't read the fourth canto, and I was indexing, and then this chapter came, and I said, "Wow, this is amazing chapter." Chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, text, basically 33 to 73. This is where Lord Shiva is singing his song. It's just beautiful prayers, and I think also is because I was in a very peaceful mood down there, and I was just more receptive to what Lord Shiva was saying, and it just really went deep. So much depends on the mood we bring to the text when we're reading it. So, yeah, it's so good to be back with this chapter, and this chapter is a lot going on, right, Mr. Fly? And first part of the obeisances of the super soul, and then describing the glories, the beauty of the Lord. And now we're at a part where Lord Shiva is focusing on the power of associating with pure devotees. That's how we get to know the Lord, through the pure devotees. So so in this verse it says, he's no longer, if one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or gyan. So this reminded me immediately when Prabhupada, I mentioned before how Prabhupada, before he gave the lecture, he sent two little boys out of the room because they didn't have tilak on. Girish and Prabhadra, Shilavati boys. They were just little boys. I mean, well, one was 9 and one was 7, and they didn't have tilak on. So it was a big occasion, an initiation. So Prabhupada said, "Go put tilak," and then Prabhupada said, "Tilak is our trademark. It's like Nike has a trademark, Coca-Cola has a trademark, and does Govindas have a trademark? No? Yeah, script. So, trademark. We are selling Krishna for free, and still they won't take it," Prabhupada said. And then he just started laughing, like Santa Claus, and like his belly was shaking, like a bowl full of jelly, like the poem. And then he started talking about the glories of bhakti, as opposed to all the other processes like karma, gyan. And he said, all the other processes are a sculptor with his little sculptor's hammer, and he started going tick, 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 tick. They're very careful how they're sculpting the figure. Like, I'm reading anyway, that's the version. So he said, but bhakti, with one stroke, boom, everything finished. Yeah. It's like, so the smith is trying to do something very delicate, but Prabhupada is saying, all the other processes, they're just sort of chipping away at your conditioning, through karma. They're trying to elevate you with karma, gyan, yoga, but bhakti is so powerful. Boom! I'll never forget the sound he made. It's like a sledgehammer, one stroke. Everything finished. Yeah. Okay. So as promised, does anybody recognize? I mean, there's 4 half lines in the transliteration. So does this verse remind anybody of another verse? This is like a famous verse that Shonika Rishi, on behalf of the sages at Naimisharanya, were speaking to Sutta. It's in the CC too?
I was thinking of sorry.
No, but the actual Sanskrit. Nasvargam Bhagavat Martyanam. It's incredible. Let's see if you're right. I forgot the first line on myself. No, it's not. I thought it was.
Verse 20 of that chapter.
It's 1:18:13, and it's the only difference is the first line. Tulaya malavenapi. Well, you got tulaye and you got adenapi, so it's very similar. So in 1:18:13, Sutta is saying the value of a moment's the same idea. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared. I mean, you can't even. There's no reference. There's off the charts. Can't even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets. Right? This is what the karma kandi is chasing. He wants to go to heaven, right? Or liberation from matter. This is what the Jnani wants. Just freedom from personality, from anything, from consciousness. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are those who are meant for death. Everybody's trying to get away, or get ahead, right? The material world, chase the almighty dollar, right? One time, Ambarish Prabhu in Mayapur said to me, he said, Suresvara, if I have to come back to this material world, I don't want to come back rich. I don't want to be a Ford. This is what everybody wants, what he has, money. But he's saying, I don't want it, because when you have it, everybody wants what you have. And they're always coming up to you for money. You don't know who's your friend. Why are they approaching me? Are they approaching me because they want to really be a friend, or they want something, right? Yeah. So, which are those who are meant for death? Yeah. So he's saying, if I have to come back again, if I have to die and come back, I don't want this. Okay, and the purport is very interesting too, but in the interest of time, we won't look at that. Now, Srila Prabhupada's purport, he quotes Prabodhananda Saraswati. So, this is a famous verse. Chaitanya Chandramrita, great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the meter is the Bande Rup meter. It's Shad Goswami Ashtam. Kaivalyam Naraka. So Prabhupada only quotes, a couple of words? Yeah. Tridashapura Akash Pushpayate. The whole verse is really rich, and it describes the consciousness of a pure devotee. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapura Akasha Pushpayate Durda Tendriya Kala Sarpa Patali Protkata Dangstrayate Vishvam Purnam Sukhaya. There's another Prabhupada quotes that a lot. Vishvam Purnam Sukhayate. This world is so full of suffering. You just turn on the news, how many more women and children have died in Gaza, and now it's over in, Lebanon, and now it's crazy what to speak of. Ukraine. Vishvampur, but the pure devotees seeing it as a happy place. Ooh, how is that? Vishvampurnam sukhayate vidhi mahendra vishchakitayate Yat karanya kataksha vaivadatam tam gorame vastumaha. Okay, here's what the whole verse means. It's quite an epic verse. Prabodhananda Saraswati is saying, for a devotee, now this means a pure devotee. This is a through and through, dyed in the wool, certified, pure devotee, full-fledged. For a devotee, the pleasure of merging into the existence of Brahman is considered hellish. So that's the part that Prabhupada focused on. Similarly, he considers promotion to heavenly planets just another kind of, what's the word you used? Phantasmagoria. Look up that. Who's got the, all right, look it up. Alita. Please.
What are you looking for?
Phantasmagoria. Can you spell it? Misspell phantasm and add something gory.
A constantly shifting, complex succession of things seen or imagined.
Wow, it's like a kaleidoscope. Yeah, and that's material world. It's always glittery, but it's always changing. You can't quite get it, grasp it. It's the same idea, will-o'-the-wisp. The yogis meditate for sense control. They're meditating for sense control. But for the devotee, the senses appear like serpents with broken teeth. Wow. So how is that? How is the whole material world? Because so the yogis are trying to control this, and they know that the senses are always going after the sense objects, and that's going to get me entangled. So, but for a devotee, the senses appear like serpents with broken teeth. Can anybody explain that?
No threat.
No threat. Why? Because the senses, instead of going after sense objects for a devotee, are what? What are we doing with our senses? Yeah. So we use the senses. This is such a mercy of bhakti. The same senses which really get us in a lot of trouble, the eyes, the nose, we engage them in Krishna's service. What mercy, huh? Otherwise, they're just on fire. The whole material world appears joyful for a devotee. Okay, explain that one. Krishna certifies, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is a place of misery. This appears to be a contradiction here. The whole material world appears joyful for a devotee.
Or he doesn't live in this material world.
Hmm?
A devotee doesn't live in the material world.
Well, but it says the whole material world appears joyful.
He sees Krishna everywhere.
It's an opportunity to serve Krishna.
Okay. All right, Lavanga.
So, Prabhupada, I heard Prabhupada say in a lecture that, in one sense, everything is energy of Krishna. And so, in one sense, everything is spiritual, but it depends on one's consciousness. So, the devotee is seeing everything ultimately as Krishna's energy. So, therefore, the whole material world appears joyful because they're using it in Krishna's service.
Okay, I think that's the only way you can reconcile, because it's not, you ask somebody who just lost their baby in Gaza if they're joyful, and they're screaming. That's how they celebrate, that's how they observed the year anniversary yesterday of this war, when the Hamas invaded Gaza and they killed 1,200 Israelis. And so they commemorated it by having some, they sang the national anthem of Israel. And then after it was over, this lady screamed, like she just lost her kid. Yeah. Okay.
Also, there was a story that the devotee were walking with Prabhupada, and when they were walking, the smell was really bad. And they're like, oh, this smell. And Prabhupada did this, Bakuta. So even though, it was like, I think it was some area in New York or something, it was.
Oh, this is the story I told you.
Maybe you told me, I also heard it on the memory. So yeah, it's kind of like your devotee has this vision.
Yeah, it was Hayagriva or Howard is at the storefront looking out at 2nd Avenue. The garbage trucks and the pollution and the traffic and this, the smells and he's thinking, boy, this is hellish. And so Prabhupada was always good at reading minds. So he came in back of Howard and he said, one day we'll see all this as Vaikuntha. How else could Prabhupada come to this hellish place? He sees it as an opportunity to reclaim people. He's willing to go to hell for Lord Chaitanya. Yeah, it's Krishna's place. Like you say, it's Krishna's energy. But it needs to be reclaimed. Yeah. So, okay. The The whole material world appears joyful for a devotee. It's a place where we can be reclaimed first, and then reclaim others. And even great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Indra are considered no better than insects. Oh, that doesn't sound like very nice. We don't disrespect the demigods. So what does it mean? What did Prabodhananda Saraswati mean? He considers Lord Brahma and Lord Indra are considered no better than insects. Yes.
Because for pure devotee, taking birth as a Brahma, taking birth as an insect is the same if you don't have Krishna.
Yeah, we're not interested in becoming a king of this material world, or a Brahma, or a co-creator of the universe. It's like useless because it's temporary. Here today, gone tomorrow. Agama payano nityas. Coming and going, created, destroyed. And sometimes they even, get in trouble too, even Brahma and Indra. Indra became a pig. He was attached. I can't go back. Indra was cursed. I can't go back. I got my piglets. I got my nice sow here. And, I got my prasad, my poop prasad. Yeah. Such is the position of a devotee who has received. Now here's what Prabodhananda Saraswati gives the purport. This is the vision. Such is the position of a devotee who has received but a small glance of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, it's all about Krishna coming as the golden avatar to give us this kind of vision. Unto this most magnanimous personality, I offer my respectful obeisances. Okay, so, yes. All right, I just want to share with you a little of my tour to Europe. I think, it wasn't easy physically because, I've been living here for 8 years now, so that means I've been an Arizonan. The blood has gotten thinner and thinner and thinner. You go to Europe, it's a higher latitude. Everything is cold there. Everything felt very cold. But what was heartwarming, more than made up for it, was the reception of the devotees to the founder Acharya messages. The whole Prabhupada journey that I took everybody on. But when I landed in Amsterdam and was driven to, I didn't rot there, don't worry. I was well taken care of. I noticed that everything was, it was a higher latitude and it was summer now, or it was into summer. So the sun was rising later and the sun was setting later. And even on sunny days, the sun wasn't like the Arizona sun. There was a lot of cloudy days. So I'd go out in the morning, I go out for my japa walk here, and it wasn't the same. It was cold, because there wasn't sun. And a lot of days were rainy. But I immediately was heart-warmed when in Rotterdam, the venue for the seminars was this old warehouse where they used to store goods, like from 500 years ago. When everything was, because Holland is all kind of, it's either sea level or under sea level. So there's so many waterways all over Holland. And so they were right by another waterway. So this is where they used to bring in the boats. And Holland was an imperial power. The Dutch were colonialists. So they'd bring in all these goods, from other parts of the world, and in big ships, or I don't know if they had barges or whatever, but anyway, they were unloading them. And so this place where I had this seminar, it used to be a big storehouse for all these grains and in different articles and stuff. But then they redid the whole thing after that, after railroads came in, and this is like 500 years ago, but it was an old building, and it was down in the basement. And so there's a temple in Amsterdam, but it's small. So there's many devotees in Holland, but they're all scattered all over this little country full of waterways and dikes and so when they want to have a big seminar, then they all gather at this place from all around Holland. It's not a big country at all. It's like, I don't know, maybe Arizona, New Mexico, or it's small. And so the reception was amazing. I mean, whether it was Holland or it was France or, in New Mayapur was France, or it was Belgium, Bangladesh, Belgium and France, those were castles. The temples were old castles. The people, they were just, their desire to be in Prabhupada's presence, after I would tell them, what it was like to be in Prabhupada's presence, they got it, that the way to be in Prabhupada's presence is through his Vani. He lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. So I would tell them stories to illustrate the points that I was saying. But by the end of the journey, by lesson 10, which I called Your Srila Prabhupada, they got it, that the way to be in Prabhupada's presence is to be totally absorbed into his Vani. So then, at the end, in Radhadesh, the president of Radhadesh, he's a Dutch fellow. He's a householder. His name is Ekachakra Gram. Yeah, Ekachakra Gram. If you ever go to Ekachakra, that's where Lord Nityananda appeared and grew up. They're always chanting, Nityananda Ram, Ekachakra Dham, or Ekachakra Gram, the village. So he shared with me, because I was giving him so much Prabhupada. He said, I want to share with you something. And he was saying, and now I get it. I'm always hankering. I always lamented I wasn't in Prabhupada's physical presence, but I get it now. That the way to be more absorbed in Srila Prabhupada is to be absorbed in his Vani, his books, especially his instructions. So he quoted a verse. He sent me his Vyasa Puja offering that he personally spoke to Prabhupada, last August. And I didn't recognize the verse he quoted, because the verse is all about 6 kinds of inferior disciples. And if you're an inferior disciple, you can't absorb yourself in the words of the Guru. So anyway, he says, so I said, I've never seen this verse. Where'd you get this verse? Because he said he got it from Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, who took sannyas from Kadambaka Maharaj before Kadambaka passed away. And he says, the verse is from the Niti Shastras, and according to Kartik Chandra Prabhu, has been quoted by sadhus in the past. So anyway, he quoted the verse, and then here's the translation. And if you want the full meaning of this, I can send you his offering, because he just sent me the verse means. But there's 6 kinds of inferior disciples. They're kind of mysterious if you just take the verse, but then the purport, it's unpacked. The bee, the arrow, the astrologer, the lazy one, the why only me one, and indeed the messenger sender. These 6 are the lowest of disciples. So when you see how each one of those is an inferior disciple, then it's like, oh, there's a little bit of that person in me too. So, well, I have to go. Well, I can tell you a couple. I just remember one. The bee, usually we hear a good thing about a bee. Be like a bee, don't be like a fly. go for the honey, don't go for the sores like the flies. But in this case, the bee is compared to somebody who's always going from flower to flower and taking a little from this and a little from that, but you never really focus on one, on the instructions of your guru. So it's the analogy is somebody who's taken a little bit of shiksha here, a little bit of there, a little bit of there, and just, not really focusing on your spiritual master, or in our case, our foundational spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Let's see, the arrow. Oh, the astrologer is somebody who he can't do service for Guru and Krishna because everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be, it has to be the right transit. Some people who are too absorbed in their horoscope, right? I can't do it today, Prabhu, because I gotta just stay home today because if I go out, I might get run over by a truck or something. Who knows? Like that. The lazy one. Yeah, this is just somebody who just, we can all relate to that, right? We get too lazy. And why only me? I think this was, yeah. So the disciple who thinks the guru is picking on him. But actually, he doesn't take the correction as mercy. Why are you picking on me? I'm a good guy. I'm not a demon, whatever. So these are all inferior. And indeed, the messenger's sender was that. I forget. Anyway, if you want all of them, I can send you.
Where is it?
Where's that coming from?
You can count me in.
I just,
You can count me in.
okay. Well, what you got to do, you got to text me, remind me to do it. And what was I just about to say? Yeah, it's coming from, it's part of the Vedas. It's called Niti. It's not Chanakya Pandit, because he wrote a book called Niti Shastra. But it's like ethics, how to behave. It's behavior. So, I also found something in Satru Maharaj. He has a book called Niti Shastra. So he doesn't give the chat. He just, I asked him for a chapter verse. Where's this reference Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj gave? And he said, oh, he took it from Niti Shastra and he just quoted it, but he didn't give me the. So it's, anyway, if you text me and you'll see that it's consistent with Prabhupada's teaching. So it's good. Okay. Anyway, and when I was in Europe, I didn't give Bhagavatam class because I said, look, I'm going to be speaking a lot and I got to save my voice. So, just when there's class, just you guys give class. So this is the first time I'm giving class in a year. Anyway, it's good to be back. And what else? Anyway, I'll share more. There's a lot more. That's funny things happened, when I was on walks. Yes, Prabhu.
My question is just regarding the
Verse in the purport?
Yeah, question about that. Just so question regarding just to clarify the Bhagavananda Saraswati. He is a South Indian, and somehow he's key associated with Lord Chaitanya as a child, or is that?
Yeah, I didn't look him up. I should have on the database.
And so I know that some people, Prabhupada corrects, and people say that he's Prakashananda Saraswati, but Prabhupada says he's not. A certain Sahaja group say he is. Prabhupada clearly says he's not in the purport.
Well, he's contemporary to Lord Chaitanya, right?
Yeah, but then there's a purport in the Prakashananda Saraswati part of the Bhagavatam where Prabhupada says some unscrupulous.
You mean CC?
Yeah. CC's unscrupulous people say that Prabodhananda Saraswati is the same as Prakashananda Saraswati. And then it says Prabodhananda Saraswati is from South India, and he had some relation to, I think, Vallabha Bhatta, one of the people that Lord Chaitanya stays with in South India. Mm-hmm. I was just trying to remember. So,
yeah, Prabhupada, that was all Benares. That's
Well, that's Prakashananda Saraswati.
That's what I mean. So how could it be the same?
Yeah, well, some people had, Prabhupada says, unscrupulous people say that.
Unscrupulous. That was a CC purport.
But I'm trying to just remember where Prabhupada Saraswati actually fits in.
Okay. All right. Prabhu.
I had a question about like phantasmagoria. So it seems like a lot of the times it's like dismissed, but it seems phantasmagoria is more interesting than like mundane things. And then also it's like in the spiritual world, all of Krishna's pastimes, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, they're all kind of phantasmagoria. They're all these like wonderful, like really bizarre, like strange type of things. So it's like, and those are the things that seem to give me the most satisfaction when I'm like engaging with the literature. So it's like, how do we reconcile the idea that we're supposed to be like, oh, it's just phantasmagoria, dismiss it, when it's like all of Krishna's pastimes, that's phantasmagoria, if I've ever heard of it, you know?
Yeah, if you think sci-fi is good, just read the Bhagavatam, right? It's things that are going on in higher planets that you can't even imagine. Well, there's real fantastic things that are going on that are real, and then there's the reflection. So yeah, I don't blame you for being bored with what's going on First Avenue or the humdrum of daily existence. It's like I've told before how when at the storefront in 26 Second Avenue, when Swamiji was first trying to just whip some raw recruits into shape. I mean, they were all, everybody's trying to get high. That's why they were coming to the storefront to get high. Because they were taking psychedelics and it was giving them visions. Aldous Huxley had just written The Doors of Perception. Everybody's reading The Doors of Perception and in other dimensions. So they're trying to experience this through drugs. So Howard, who became the same Howard who was thinking this is hellish. So Howard came up to Swamiji after a couple of months and said, Swamiji, he had a deep voice, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 6 months and I still haven't seen the universal form. Because that's where they were, and Prabhupada knew that's why they were chanting. They were trying to get high. But Prabhupada knew that they would get purified by the chanting. So Prabhupada, he always had the perfect answer, right? That's all right, you keep chanting. Keep chanting, it'll go away, you'll experience the reality, a higher reality. And so they did. Because Prabhupada had total faith in the power of the holy name to knock out all this other stuff that because they were following, they were friends with Ginsberg, Allen Ginsberg, who was also taking LSD. So Prabhupada knew that the holy name they would completely experience the real reality by chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah, and it worked. After a few months, and Prabhupada saw that they were ready even if they weren't ready, for initiation. And they weren't really ready. And Prabhupada didn't stress the taboos, illicit sex, intoxication, meeting, and gambling. He stressed the positives. He stressed the chanting and Krishna Prasad and the beauty of Krishna and the vision of the spiritual world that were palpable in his presence. Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. When Swamiji spoke, when Prabhupada spoke, he was bringing the whole spiritual world with him. So it was, when they would chant, when they really got into it, and Prabhupada leading the chant, you hear those old tapes after an hour, and then Prabhupada would boom, boom, and then they all look at each other and they, wow, did you feel that? Did you taste? Did you experience that? This is far out, man. But they were actually getting a real vision of the spiritual world through the chanting. That's how we access Krishna through Lord Chaitanya, through Nam. Yeah, Nama Prabhu, Nama Avatar. So keep chanting. The other phantasmagoria will go away. Yeah, because we want. That's how we are. The spiritual world is every step is a dance, all speech is song. It is. That's where we come from, and now we're just living in the prison. So no, it's humdrum. Yes, Nadia Prabhu.
Prabhu, thank you. It's so wonderful to see you in the Vyasa-san. Such a wealth of knowledge and stories and
You like
connection with Srila
imposters,
Prabhupada. Yeah. Let's see. It's a little tough to say, but it kind of hit a note when you were talking about the bee going from flower to flower, and we have such a wealth of Vaishnavas to hear from and whatnot. And I've been thinking about that recently. When I looked up my guru's talks, because he has plenty of talks on YouTube, but I don't usually look them up. And I've kind of had a point of deeper relationship with him through some trials and tribulations. And after that, felt more of a connection to him, and therefore more connection to Krishna.
Nice.
And so, yeah. And then, because lately I've been listening to a Krishna book on the audio, which is so cool, but I haven't listened to Radhanath Swami say for a while, because I used to listen to him because, he's such a scholar, he's so good at telling the Krishna pastimes. But then I've just been reflecting on what you're saying about the bee, because it's it seems like it doesn't necessarily matter what level of scholar or whatnot a devotee's at. If they're a sincere devotee and they have that connection to Krishna, that it can be really powerful to just hear from our guru, because that's where we're getting our most direct personal connection with Krishna. So
whoever's giving us the most attention, that's where the relationship is. That's how we're accessing Krishna. Whoever's giving us the most mercy is really how we're accessing Prabhupada and Krishna. Yeah. So go for it.
It's so easy to, Kadamba Kanana Swami.
Well, there's so many nice,
Maharaj.
we can hear from so many people, but we always have to come back to home plate, home base, wherever that is. And Krishna knows how we're accessing him through. He's got it's customized through our whoever we are. It's customized. He knows how we can access him through different personalities who are inspiring our faith. Yes.
If our Hare Krishna, if our heart is with Krishna, would it be okay to act as a bee, to share that nectar? Because I am drawn to serve people in various communities and sharing, my practice with Krishna.
Yeah, now you're using bee in a good way. Yeah, this was a negative thing. Just somebody is flitting from flower to flower and never really, being focused. Yeah, sure. Be a bee. Distribute the honey. We need it. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're about to get the prasadam. Hope you're.
I just want to say, because Nadia's question, I think, we're God brothers. I can say that, at least my spiritual master's main instruction is to connect to Prabhupada. So, whoever's helping you do that, he encourages that, so read the books, listen to classes, and I listen to other devotees' classes, and it's never been a problem. I also listen to his classes, but, be a Prabhupada man. So if you can be a Prabhupada man, then you're, that's helping you fulfill that mission. Because it's all one, guru is one. So that's my experience, just to share that, at certain different times you may find different devotees helping you connect to your own guru. Sometimes I find that, especially, I find that many, many times that there's something I won't understand, and then I'll listen to another devotee and he'll help me understand, and I'll apply that to my relationship with my guru, and then I realize, oh, now I understand more. So, Krishna, like Prabhu said, Krishna's, leading us along.
He knows how to purify us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.